Good evening, I'm Xantia Rohaizad and it's good to see you again on 7Edition. The headlines. Bill to limit PM's tenure tabled for the first time in Parliament. Also tonight, IPCMC Bill postponed to next Parliament session. And 2 killed and over 500 flights cancelled as Kimura touches down in Manila. We begin tonight's bulletin with this story. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Datuk Liew Voi Kiong, today tabled a bill to amend the federal constitution and introduce a term limit on the post of the Prime Minister. The move to limit the terms of the office bearers is aimed at curbing the consolidation of power in a single leader. The Constitution Amendment Bill 2019 was the first item in today's order paper.
Bacaan kedua dan ketiga pada hari mesyuarat pertama penggal 3 Parlimen ke-14 2020.
The idea was first announced by Pakatan Harapan when it launched its 201-page election manifesto in March 8 last year.
Cukup korum lah.
Now, when the Prime Minister was asked to comment on the bill, he supported the move, adding that it is one of the measures to enhance integrity.
I am 94 years old. You want me to be Prime Minister at 100?
On October 18th this year, Tun Dr. Mahathir, in his midterm review speech on the 11th Malaysia Plan in the Dewan Rakyat, had announced that the office of the Prime Minister and Chief Minister will be limited to 2 terms. In another development, the government has decided to defer the second reading of the Independent Police Complaints and Misconduct Commission 2019 IPCMC Bill to the next Dewan Rakyat meeting. The decision was read out by Datuk Liew, and this is the second time that the second reading of the bill had been postponed. Amendments were expected to the bill, which was supposed to be tabled by Ram Karpal Singh, who heads the Parliament Special Select Committee on Bills Consideration. Last Wednesday, Datuk Liew said that the committee recommended 37 proposed changes to the IPCMC bill, which was tabled for the first reading on July 18th this year. The bill aims to set up an independent commission to monitor the integrity of the police and probe complaints of misconduct involving police personnel. Meanwhile, a verbal spat among several MPs in the Dewan Rakyat today forced Speaker Tan Sri Muhammad Arif Mat Yusof to suspend 2 MPs from the August House. The uproar started when Barisan Nasional MP Datuk Sri Tajuddin Abdul Rahman passed a snide remark about the religious mark on Pakatan Harapan MP RSN Reyer's forehead. Tan Sri Muhammad Arif also suspended Pakatan Harapan's Kota Melaka MP Koo Puai Tiong for ignoring his instructions to not continue raising the matter.
Dan tadi sebut YB Pekan Rasuah
itu sebab yang berhormat Baling telah masuk campur.
Sila duduk.
Saya nak tumpang tanya,
Kita
itu
mau
abu cimping apa?
Semua duduk.
kita mau anak-anak kita belajar perkara-perkara yang baik. Belajar daripada pemimpin-pemimpin yang baik.
Pasal lagi dalam mahkamah apa pasal? Ingat kamu hakim ke Julutong?
Saya tak mahu.
Tan Sri, pasal salah bukan kali pertama dia sebut begitu.
Duduk.
Tan Sri, dia sudah sebut banyak kali. Pasal salah sudah sebut banyak kali.
Saya tahu.
Tan Sri.
Ruling sudah pun dibuat. Sila duduk.
Tidak boleh sekadar tarik balik saja, Tan Sri.
Pasal salah, sila keluar.
What do you want?
Tempoh 1 hari. Bentara.
Huh? Halau dia keluar.
Masih salah sekali.
Tan Sri, saya kemukakan standing order, Tan Sri.
Sila duduk. Kota Melaka oleh kerana tidak mengikut arahan speaker.
Di antara satu kaum dengan satu.
The speaker warned that action will be taken against MPs who continue to ignore his instructions.
Ya.
Former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Razak took the witness stand today for his SRC trial. Now, before we go into what was said in court, Prita Manivanan brings you the background of his case and the highlights of what happened in court.
Datuk Seri Najib Razak is facing 42 charges related to money laundering and corruption, all of which are linked to the One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB scandal. In this 42 million ringgit SRC corruption trial, he was slapped with 7 charges, one on July 4th and the other on August 8th last year. The charges are for criminal breach of trust, money laundering and abuse of power. The High Court has ordered him to enter his defence on November 11th. On the stand today, Datuk Seri Najib read out from a 243-page witness statement touching on the history of Sovereign Wealth Fund, 1MDB. He gave a lengthy explanation on the role of fugitive businessman Low Teck Joe in 1MDB and described him as a very influential figure with vast connections. Datuk Seri Najib told the court Low was a close acquaintance of the Sultan of Terengganu when Terengganu Investment Agency TIA was formed. TIA later became 1MDB when the federal government took it over. The former finance minister also explained that he was unaware of SRC International's initial plan to apply for a 3.95 billion ringgit loan from KWAP in 2011. Other notable moments from today's trial was that Datuk Seri Najib actually forgot his identification card and the court had to wait for a while his aide went to retrieve it. And also the proceedings was disrupted for a bit when they realized 3 pages from his testimony was missing while Datuk Seri Najib was reading from it. That's all I have for today. I'm Prita Manivanan for 7Edition.
In Ipoh, a businessman was charged today with 10 counts of molesting 3 women. 65-year-old Datuk Mat Hamdan Ahmad, however, pleaded not guilty before Magistrate Nur Azrin Muhammad Darus. He allegedly committed the offences at his office in Medan Gopeng on July 29th. He was then arrested the next day after the 3 women lodged police reports saying Datuk Mat Hamdan molested them during a job interview. Under the penal code, the businessman is now facing up to 10 years in jail, a fine or whipping. The court allowed him bail of 25,000 ringgit with 2 sureties, but prohibited him from being in contact with the victims and witnesses and ordered him to surrender his passport. January 16th was fixed for case remention. For news up next, we'll be right back. Now on to the foreign front. Typhoon Kimura made landfall overnight in the Philippines on Tuesday, killing 2 and bringing heavy rains that prompted suspension of air travel and government offices in Manila. Over 225,000 people are being evacuated as the storm triggered warnings of floods, storm surges and landslides in the capital. The typhoon struck as the Philippines hosts thousands of athletes from Southeast Asia for the biennial regional games that opened on Saturday. Now, because of this, SEA Games organizers have announced a slew of changes to their schedule for some sports that have been disrupted, particularly those that take place outdoors. In a Facebook announcement posted just after noon, it said sports such as sailing and windsurfing were postponed and will resume on Thursday. As of now, there was no plan to extend the 11-day tournament. On Monday, sports like windsurfing, beach volleyball, and canoe-kayak racing were either suspended or postponed, while the triathlon mixed team relay was held 2 days earlier, even as organizers were gearing up for the storm's arrival. The start of others, such as modern pentathlon, were moved to Thursday, when Kamuri is expected to make its exit from the country. According to AFP, the storm will leave Philippines by early December 4th. The SEA Games events are held in 3 clusters on the island of Luzon, namely the Philippines' capital, Manila, Clark, and Subic. According to our Media Prima sports correspondent, Faris Zulkarnain, some events are resuming as normal in Manila.
I can say that Manila is not affected by Typhoon Kimura. However, there is heavy rain which did affect some outdoor sports like tennis to be postponed. Many of the indoor competition, however, have been proceeded smoothly. Sports like badminton and also bowling were not affected. The Philippine SEA Games Organizing Committee says officials do have a contingency plan for this kind of problem, but most of the game have been proceeded smoothly.
Meanwhile, Hazreen Mubarak has some details from Clark, Subic, and Luzon.
The committee's decision to postpone multiple events in and around Clark, Subic, and Luzon were to give way to warnings of Typhoon Kimura's path throughout the regions. The cloudy weather since this morning, coupled with continuous rain, have also affected of the SEA Games. However, conditions are milder than expected in Clark, and only the Petong event is being postponed to a later date. The softball and long ball event will proceed according to schedule. Now in Subic, 4 events were affected, namely sepak takraw, volleyball, canoe, and muay thai, and the events have all been moved to a beach area. Meanwhile, in Luzon, only 3 events were postponed by the committees, which is skateboarding, underwater hockey, and polo. In the meantime, the committee have already prepared a plan B to postpone all the events to new dates as they expected the typhoon. The weather tomorrow is expected to be more calmer after the storm passes by. This will also give more hope for Malaysia on its mission to grab 70 gold medals in this year's SEA Games.
According to a 5 p.m. bulletin by Philippines' State Weather Bureau, Pagasa, the southern eyeball of Kamuri, known locally as Typhoon Tisoy, is now bringing intense rainfall and violent winds over northern Samar. Forecasters said Kamuri had weakened but remained strong, with sustained winds of up to 150 kilometers per hour. It made landfall just before midnight on Tuesday, damaging some homes and structures and felling trees and signage in urban areas. Nearly 500 flights were cancelled, and officials warned passengers not to come to the airport. SEA Games highlights later on, so do stay tuned. Now, we go to Indonesia, where 2 soldiers were injured in a blast that occurred at the National Monument Park near the Presidential Palace in central Jakarta. Jakarta Military Chief Eko Margiono said the 2 soldiers were going through their morning exercise routine when they spotted a suspicious-looking object. President Joko Widodo was not in the palace at the time.
Hasil sementara dari temuan kita, yang pertama memang ada korban. 2 anggota TNI ya, yang sekarang sedang dirawat di rumah sakit RSPAD yang mengalami luka-luka pada tangan kanan dan tangan kiri, yang 1, kemudian 1 lagi itu di bagian pahanya. Nah, hasil yang kedua temuannya dari hasil olah TKP tersebut adalah ini diduga granat asap ya yang meledak. Mungkin anggota kita barang ini dari mana, nanti kita sedang dalami.
He added that one of the soldiers was holding the grenade with his left hand, which is now badly injured. Smoke grenades are usually used to disperse crowds during street rallies, but the Jakarta police chief does not believe it is linked to the rally held by conservative Muslims on Monday. Within 3 hours, the authorities reopened the park area where the blast took place, across the street from the headquarters of Indonesia's Home Ministry. Now let's hop on to Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making the rounds in the cyber world today. Malaysian East Coast dwellers are certainly facing a lot of hardships from the monsoon season, but Not for these kids. Recently, a video showing children swimming in the floodwaters in their own home in Kelantan went viral on various platforms, collecting at least 160,000 views. The clip certainly perked up the mood despite the disaster, but netizens were left worried as many warned of the dangers of swimming in the muddy waters. Take a look. An indoor swimming pool right at the very center of their home. These kids surely look like they're having fun. Some netizens got excited watching the kids enjoying the waters, with one saying he even feels like joining the party, while others rained spite on the incident, as swimming in the polluted waters could draw health dangers as it is mixed with so many dirty substances you can possibly imagine. So to all parents, please monitor your kids' activities because it's all fun and games until something bad happens. Now updated as of 7 p.m. Here are the top trending topics and searches on the internet today. Welcome back. The Ministry of Entrepreneur Development, MED, received the government's approval for additional funding for the 2020 budget towards strengthening the entrepreneurship sector in the country. Its Minister, Datuk Seri Muhammad Redzuan Yusof, said the additional funding would be 15 to 20% of MED's development budget for the next year.
Jadi saya ada berbincang dengan government ini supaya ada sedikit pembinaan untuk melaksanakan program yang telah pun kita rancang. Dan alhamdulillah Yang Berhormat bersetuju untuk menambah sedikit yang saya rasa tak perlu saya sebutkan di sini tapi amat bermakna kepada agensi mengikut merit melaksanakan itu sendiri.
He said the allocation would be used on implementing programs through various agencies, including the Co-National. In the budget presented last October, MED received a total of 539 million ringgit from the government. The Public Service Department, PSD, has approved a total of 10,675 permanent posts for the Health Ministry following the completion of health facilities in various parts of the country. PSD Director General Datuk Muhammad Khairul Adib Abdul Rahman said the health facilities are scheduled to begin operating at the end of this year to provide quality services to the people.
Sebagai permulaan, waran pejawatan yang mengandungi 385 pejawatan untuk Hospital Rembau Negeri Sembilan telah diserahkan sebentar tadi kepada Yang Berbahagia Datuk Seri Dr. Chen Chow Min, Ketua Setiausaha Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia pada hari ini. Jawatan ini merupakan sebahagian daripada 10,675 jawatan yang akan diagihkan secara berfasa.
The recruitment will be for medical officers, dentists, pharmacists, nursing and medical assistants. Last year, the government decided on a policy to control the size of the public sector by targeting to reduce the 1.7 million positions available by 5% beginning from 2019 until 2021. Bursa Malaysia retreated from yesterday's gains to close lower today. Dealers said this is due to persistent profit-taking in consumer products counters and in line with most regional peers. FBM KLCI shed 8.28 points to finish at 1,562.27. onto stocks to watch. Xantia Group Berhad's 5-year cost savings target of 5 billion ringgit initiated in 2017 looks to be on track for 2021 as the group's efforts are expected to keep a sustainable profit with its optimum customer experience. The company's targeted capex decisions and maintenance of service quality are amongst the front lines for achieving desired returns. Last but not least, Sime Darby's first quarter 2020 core PATMI of 307 million ringgit expectations. This was driven mainly by strong industrial equipment demand from Australia's mining sector and China's infrastructure sector. The industrial segment is expected to remain on a growth trajectory supported by Australia, China and potentially Malaysia. And now the standings. Malaysia ties with Singapore at number 5 in the ranks with 15 gold, 3 silver and 12 bronze. So far, Malaysia has secured a total of 30 medals.